What is up, everybody? This is Echo Ninja, the ninja that's kicking it with you all day, every day. And on today's show, of course, it's Friday. And Friday, I did promise, like I said, and I'm doing it today, Titans, Season 2, Episode 6, titled Connor. Of course, Connor Kent, a.k.a. Superboy. This show was actually I say it a lot, but this was really cool. It did a lot of tie-ins. It explained a lot of characters, even though they didn't show them, which actually made all the difference. Because when you acknowledge them, it shows that they actually exist. Now, this is a spoiler review, but it's it's going to be pretty quick, not too quick, but quick enough. So we're going to just start from the beginning, of course, as we see Connor and Crypto. They're being introduced with his naked ass, after he threw somebody through a TV. Like, was that necessary? Really necessary? A little cute little scene where Connor and Crypto kind of introduced themselves to each other, which is actually nice. He got his name from a name tag on a shirt from Cadmus. And then we're also introduced to, after that whole thing, he kind of busts out the door. Not really busts out, kind of pushes it, like lightly, and just falls apart like any Superman character, any Superman-esque character would do. And he sees the picture, the little scene, the big view of Metropolis. Of course, that you see in the background, you can tell it's Metropolis because you see Daily Planet's big old planet right on top of a building. That was pretty cool because it was almost like parallel to when one of the flashback scenes of Dick Grayson, when they showed him opening the window from Wayne Manor and looking at the whole view of Gotham City. It looks very alive and all that stuff. It's really cool. Then we meet Dr. Eve Watson, who is pretty much the creator of Superboy, and she comes in, I'm sure, from A Night on the Town. She's pretty much inebriated and all that other stuff, coming in a mini-ass red dress and these, like, Spice Girl platform shoes. It's almost like she's back in the 90s and she's, like, 13 or something like that, trying to get into a club. Anyway, they tell her that, basically, shit went down, and this is what happened. And what's their whole solution on that? Mercy Graves walks in. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Mercy Graves. That's right, Lex Luthor's right-hand woman and bodyguard of Lex Luthor. But basically, with that whole thing said, they kind of go through and also with the whole thing of the project with Superboy and how he was made and stuff like that. They keep it original, because if they didn't, people would be going nuts and stuff like that. So basically, he's an amalgamation of Lex Luthor and Superman. But there's a twist to that. He has the memories of both of them. And with that, we spot, of course, we go back to Connor and Crypto, and they're walking down the street, and then he spots a Superman t-shirt. And of course, it's kind of giving him more tingly feelings inside. So when he takes his shirt and he's about to walk away, the guy comes around, snatches him up, and Connor has this old, like, very odd flashback that is seemingly Luthor's memories of his father abusing him. No, I know it's not my fault. Anyway, um, then the guy's basically all like, "You need money to take that shirt." He's like, "I don't have any money." He's like, "Well, give it back. Blah blah blah. Come back when you do." Lo and behold, some guy is like mugging an old lady in an alley. He stops it real quick, and she's all like, "Oh, he was taking my money." He's like, "You have money?" She was like, "Well, yeah." He's like, "Can I have your money?" He tossed the dude and walks over to her. She just gives him her purse. Oh man, I really do like the comedy of it because Doctor Watson does say that he he basically has a mind of an infant. Um, but lo and behold, it's quicker than an infant, believe it or not. So he, so basically, we go back to Mercy and Dr. Watson, and Mercy basically is saying, "Well, we need to get it back, all that stuff." Dr. Watson is practically saying, "Get him back as, by any means necessary, but don't kill him." Which Mercy is all like, "Meh." Uh, um, so meanwhile, while we go back again to Connor and Crypto, where Connor is now sporting the cool Superman black T-shirt, and they're walking down the street and stuff. And then next, they see um, the mercenaries and the trucks and stuff like that. So they try to hide. And while hiding, a news truck a news van drives up, like a newspaper van type thing. Drives up, and it has like wheat fields on the like plastered on the side of it, which gives him new flashbacks, but this time it's of Clark Kent. So while he has that flashback, he basically says, you know, "Come on, Crypto, let's go home," which is what they think. But okay, so they catch a bus to Kansas. That lady must have had a shit ton of money in that purse, man, to get to Kansas. Like seriously. Um, but we basically see both Crypto and Connor go to the house. This house that looks like this farm, and we think it's the farm of the Kents. But as soon as we see the mailbox, it's Luther. So it's kind of it's kind of really interesting um, that that he does that, mistakens it for the Kent farm. They meet up with Luther's father. The dog doesn't like it very well, uh, but Luther's father brings them in. Lionel Luther brings them in. You know, very warm and hospitable at first and stuff like that. Start talking about old, um, you know, start basically going through Luther's childhood, and the kid was bald from day one. Day one. Like, wow. But I'm like reading from my notes here, so I'm like keeping it in my eye level. So basically, skipping through, what's her name has another little flashback of basically when what's her name drops something, Lionel drops something, and it goes back to the whole factor of the flashback of the the liquor bottle falling from the table to the floor, and it basically brings up all these emotions and stuff like that. And Connor was about to knock the shit out of Lionel's head, like clean off. And then he kind of came to his senses and everything. So we move on to the nighttime, where everything's hunky dory and stuff like that. They have a little conversation, and then it gets to a point where Lionel's not liking where the conversation's going because Connor's kind of like judging him in a way. But Connor doesn't realize that he is not this guy's son. Um, but then suddenly out of nowhere, Mercy's mercenaries come in. They, trash the place and stuff like that. They knock they knock Lionel out. Then they go to knock Connor out, and all hell breaks loose. This has got to be the coolest rendition of Superman's powers on TV, next to Supergirl. Because Supergirl was pretty cool with the powers and stuff like that. This show just seems like it has a little bit of a bigger budget, just a tad bit. But we still haven't seen the full force of everything. Even though he showed super breath, he showed X-ray vision. That's how he got to see Dr. Watson. X-ray vision and telescopic vision. That's how he got to see Watson in a van, like down the road. And he massacred these people. Like he put one through a wall, punched one in the chest, like breaking his gun in half. Crypto even got into the mix. I didn't think he was gonna be much, except for maybe like just a dog. Even though Crypto had powers, but they used it, buddy. Crypto had the the fucking heat vision, and then these guys were like, oh, screw this, all my friends, the mercenaries were like, all my friends are dead, basically. All my friends are dead. That's right. And then he shot a fucking rocket launcher, and Crypto came out of nowhere, and just grabbed the shit with his mouth. He grabbed the fucking rocket with his mouth. His mouth. Bro, that's a dope dog. That is a dope dog. Not shitting you with that one. And man, so after that whole ordeal, Connor meets up with Dr. Watson, and she pleads her life and all that other stuff. And it's a little moment of him figuring out, he wants to figure out who he is. And she's like, I can give that to you. I can show you that. So they go have a cross-country trip through, to San Francisco, which is where one of Katniss's facilities is, which is the facility where all the experiments were, the failed experiments of him. It was almost like a, what was it? It almost seemed like a Aliens Resurrection type ordeal, where you saw all of the failed experiments of Ripley. It was kind of the same thing, and you can actually, at this point he kind of understands what he is, but the mind of Lex Luthor was coming through, and he was going to kill Watson, Eve, for that. And he grabbed her up, choking her and stuff like that, and then he knocked out of his senses, and he didn't know what to do. So it was a touching moment of her giving him, basically what the series, what the season is all about: choices. You basically, it's what you do that makes you who you are. Not what you're known to do, or not what you can say you can do, or stuff like that. It's basically what you do is going to, just like with the one quote from Batman Begins. It's not who I am underneath, but it's what I do that defines me. And that's kind of like the lesson she's trying to give him. And she tells him, don't be a hero. Stay away from the streets. Just run away, blah, blah, blah. Don't use your powers because it's going to cause attention, all this other stuff. Then, meanwhile, Mercy and her mercs are coming through, and she tells him to run. He doesn't want her. He doesn't want to leave her behind. You know, he's already gotten used to the fact of calling her mom, and she even used the mom voice on his ass earlier. You know, during the whole cross country trip. But you know, when the mercs finally caught up with Eve, she was by herself. She tried to, you know, tell a lie, saying that he nearly killed me. I had to plead for my life. Mercy wasn't having that shit, and she was like, you know what? Screw you, bitch. I'm doing this my way. Took out a fucking kryptonite magazine, put it in a pistol, and I don't know. Luther must have retrofitted every single pistol that he makes to take kryptonite bullets, or these bullets are just made to look like that. You know, made to fit in just random weapons. Who knows? Oh, forgot to mention Project Rakshasa. Project Rakshasa. I'm wondering what that is. She said you don't want to know what that is, but it's like, it's gotta be an Easter egg. But I've looked to see what it was. The only thing that comes up is basically a demon, a shape-shifting demon, which is, it's kind of like a Hindu. I think it's of a Hindu origin or something like that. But I don't know. I've looked up anything DC related, Superman related, Cadmus related on the web that has to do with Project, you know, Rakshasa, and nothing. Maybe it's a different name for something they have introduced in the comics, but you know, we'll see. So, meanwhile, we see Connor and Crypto walking the streets of San Francisco. You know, seeing all the violence and stuff like that. They're trying to ignore it until, like, an elevator cart, like a side building elevator cart, crashes down. And this is where we catch up from the last episode, where Dick and Jason are up on top of a building, and Jason falls. Connor sees this. He says, screw it. Jumps up Hulk style, catches Jason, lands on the car, and it was a really cool comedic moment between those two. He's like, who the hell are you? And Jason was like, who the fuck are you? He was like, he's like, I'm not really super sure. I was like, really? Not really super sure. Had to put in the super, huh? Very gullible. Then after that, all of a sudden, Connor gets shot in the back, through the chest, twice, by a kryptonite bullet, of course. He falls. Jason's trying to tend to him. Dick and Corey come down, and they try to ask what happened, who is this, blah, 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 this and that. You know, Jason's like, he saved my life. And, you know, what's name's like literally dying there slowly. All the while, you see someone who, of course, it's Mercy. She has Crypto collared with a kryptonite collar and walks off. And that's the end of episode 6, dubbed Connor. I so enjoyed this episode. I was like on the edge of my seat type thing. I was like, I want to see what happened next. And then it was cool how it just came together at the end and caught up with last episode. It was just combining them together. You know, a lot of people were, and you know, people were putting up the polls, and DC Universe was putting up the polls too, kind of symbolizing the whole, oh, will Jason Todd live or die? I was like, this is coming back to when they originally pulled this junk off. But man, I mean, it was pretty intense. And the next episode is supposed to be Bruce Wayne. So I'm hoping, because I'm kind of praying that this is gonna be the type of episode I want it to be, but we're gonna have to find out next week. The show, all in all, the series, all in all, is freaking amazing. I'm loving the choices that they're doing. I'm sure they will, once they've gone through the whole factor of these. I think after this episode, that's when things start, hyping up more. Even though they did it in the last episode with Deathstroke, but yeah. If any of you guys know what Project Rakshasa is, in the DC universe or something like that, please let me know. I mean, I know DC information, but that's one thing I couldn't fucking figure out. So let me know in the comments down below if you know that Easter egg at all, or if you've seen any other Easter eggs in this show, in this episode by itself alone. Let me know how you feel about the episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you indifferent about it? Did you wish other things were in it? And did you wish that things that were in it weren't in it at all? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. Likes help. And if you're new to this episode or this or this channel alone, subscribe to us, and when you do, make sure you hit that bell to get all the content and new things that we have coming up in store, and watch our other videos also, of course. I am Echo Ninja, the ninja that's kicking it with ya. I am off. Peace. With a bottle of hair grease. Yeah.